Ah, doing it. We are live. Uh-oh, I didn't turn the light on. Uh-oh, you got my big head and armpit. There we go. We are live, everybody. I'm in the light. Finally, what say you about the Saints? What is going on with the quarterback situation these days in the NFL? We have issues with the Steelers. We have issues with the Saints. Then we have a glut of quarterbacks with the Giants, and what I would consider a glut of quarterbacks. Yeah, a glut of quarterbacks with the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders. We all know Shedeur Sanders. We all know everything about him pretty much. You know what his birthday is? I don't, but I'm sure somebody out there does just because they talk so much about Shedeur Sanders. Then we have the Bengals, and they're doing whatever they want with their with Trey Hendrickson, which I just can't believe. Trey Hendrickson will not play this season under his existing contract with 1 year left at $15.8 million. The 30-year-old, frustrated by stalled extension talks, eyes a resolution as rookie Shamar Stewart steps into the edge role. Hendricks, 17.5. Hey, what's up, Pacers? Ooh, did the Pacers win tonight? I've been so out of it. Uh-oh. Are we talking Pacers and Knicks? It's like 2000. Oh my God, the Pacers. The Pacers going to the Eastern Final, probably playing the Knicks. It's like 2000 again, the year 2000 again. This is unbelievable. Wow. Eli Hits Bombs is here. Boy, Eli, how you doing today, Eli? Wow. Knicks are probably going to beat the Celtics, especially with Jason Tatum out with an Achilles injury. Pacers beat Cavaliers, which were the number 1 seed. But does OKC beat everybody? Is that what we're thinking? I mean, does OKC just beat everybody? Oh, in hockey, the Jets are losing. Thank God. The Blues should have beat the Jets. That was horrible. Whatever. Thunder and Nuggets are tied at 2. Yeah, Tatum's out. A lot of play. Oh, what about the NBA draft? What about the NBA draft, everybody? Who do we got on? Georgia Owensby. Hi, Georgia. How are you? Thanks for joining tonight. Well, I know we want to talk football. We always want to talk football, but Tatum out for next year too. Ooh, he's out for next year too. I did not. I've been sort of away today. I've been working on stuff all day. Wow, he's out for the entire next season. Woo, Jaylen Brown. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But the big news in my mind over the last 24 hours was the fact that a team with 1.8% chance of getting the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, Cooper Flagg, got the number 1 draft. Now, I got to tell you, when I was doing fantasy football, go Giants. All right. Are we talking fantasy? We're talking like New York Giants, right? And there's 17 quarterbacks, right? They always said that, like, what was it? The Ewing draft pick was rigged because the commissioner at the time could feel a cold envelope and he pulled that one as the number 1 pick. Well, people are saying that the NBA is rigged once again because of what happened last night, because a team that had 1.8% chance of securing got the pick, which is totally crazy. But let's get back to the NFL. Yo, Daniel Berry is in the house, everybody. I guess the big news today really is the fact that Trey Hendrickson will probably, or is saying that he will sit out his current Bengals deal, which basically to me sounds like he's holding out to obviously get a trade or to feel the love again from the Bengals, which probably isn't going to happen since they did draft an edge rusher. But that's probably the biggest news. To me, the news that sets all this up is what do you guys think? Thoughts on Odunze in fantasy this year? I think he'll be really good. RX Onak. I think Odunze is going to be very good. I think Caleb has a line in front of him. I think they have some more offensive weapons. I also think that they already released Keenan Allen, or he was a free agent, and I keep hearing DJ Moore might be traded or maybe even released. I don't know. So if that's the case, he's going to be their number one, or he's going to be close to it. And what's good about this is last year set up RX Onak Ruxanak. What set that up was last year we know that Caleb likes to throw to Rome. So that was key to all of this, meaning they already have a relationship, they already have a synergy, and he feels comfortable. He was passing to him early in the season last year, when he wasn't putting up good numbers, Caleb. And I think this year he's going to put up good numbers, and it's the kind of quarterback I think that, young and fast, I think, he'll do well in the Bears system this year. So I don't think that'll be a problem. All right, everybody. What else? Let's see here. Don't forget, we have a fantasy football team. Tomorrow night we'll be live around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Let's see what other news there might be. There's a lot of people you've never heard about this. Okay. Jadeveon Clowney was released by the Panthers. He's been released by a lot of teams, actually, or he's played for a lot of different teams in his career. I'm not saying the most ever, but he has played for a lot of teams. Let's see. Linebacker. I'm just going to more of the skill positions here, talking about them. Let's see what other news there might be. Jalen Walker signs rookie contract with the Falcons. He's an edge guy. Let's see. Jameson Williams to have a breakout year, according to the Lions OC. Well, Lions offensive coordinator John Morton. Is that Johnny Morton, the old wide receiver for the Lions? Anyway, he thinks he's going to have a breakout year. I got to tell you, he did get over 1,000 yards. He did catch 58 passes last year. So he put up decent numbers. Now, what I'll say about Williams is he was suspended, I believe, for, was it steroids? Performance enhancement. So, if he can stay out of trouble, heck, he probably could have 1,200. He was a little, statistically speaking, from week to week, he was a little inconsistent. He would have a huge week. He might have 2 good weeks and then have a real stinker somewhere in there. So, but that happens during the season. You can't discount that. So, I really think that if you're looking at the NFL right now, though, you have to look at the fact that the Steelers and the Saints, in my mind, both need quarterbacks. If you look at the depth chart for Pittsburgh, there's nothing there. It's nothing. It's Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, who's a rookie, and Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson's not, unless everybody else is hurt, Skylar Thompson's not going to get the time of day. Will Howard is a rookie. Will they start him? Will they go with Mason Rudolph? Mason Rudolph did not have a good season last year, or he had a decent season. I'm thinking of Rattler with New Orleans. Mason Rudolph was okay, but I don't think he's going to lead this team into the playoffs. I don't think he's going to lead them to, the AFC Championship game or anything like that. Will Howard, maybe if they can bring him along. So many rookie quarterbacks are not like Jaden Daniels. If they can bring him along, that would really help the Steelers, because right now, I think they're a team without a quarterback. I don't know that week 1 you start Will Howard. I don't know. I would not feel comfortable Mason Rudolph starting week 1. Now let's talk about New Orleans, because I put that in the headline for today. They got Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, and it looks like Tyler's is the number one on the depth chart. Now, the reason why I say all this is because I think that it's really hard to have a rookie start at quarterback. I mean, most teams don't do it. Jaden Daniels is the exception to the rule. All right. Jaden Daniels does not come in year after year. There are no Jaden Daniels. That's why it was such a big deal to see him play last year and the numbers he puts up. If you look at someone like, Caleb Williams with the Bears, he had the first 4 or 5 weeks, he wasn't so good. And that's usually what you see by rookie quarterbacks. You look, though, at like New Orleans, Tyler Shuck, and he might have 5 or 6 or 7 bad weeks if they decide to start him. He is number one on the depth charts, so that to me is going to be a problem. They're basically going to have a rough beginning of the season. Now, Bryce Young last year with Carolina, you remember his first 4 or 5 games, then they brought in Andy Dalton and they had him for 2 or 3 weeks. Did he get hurt? I think he got hurt. And then they brought Bryce Young. They said Bryce Young will be our starting quarterback again. And he did a good job the rest of the season. So, more power to him for that. Let's see here. And I think that that's really important. I think that what happened to Bryce Young to me is not, it's the rule, not the exception. It's the rookie quarterback takes 2 or 3 or 4 games to get used to the speed, to get used to the quarterback, to get used to the schemes. Everything is bigger and faster in the NFL than it was in college. And Bryce Young got used to it. And he really showed in the second half of the season why they selected him, with Carolina. And Caleb Williams, they didn't do so well the last half of the season. He did have some good games early on, Caleb Williams, or kind of towards the middle. But I think now that they've solidified their line a little bit, they got Tooney from Kansas City. They can always put in, a myriad of tight ends. Let's see. They got, Colston Loveland. So he's going to have weapons, Caleb Williams, to throw to. And that's what's really important here. So I do think he'll be able to have those little short dump off passes to the tight end that will help the team move the ball as much as possible. Now, when it comes to running backs, I don't know if they've opened the game up for passing enough with DeAndre Swift and selecting Rashawn Johnson. I don't know that Rashawn Johnson is ready to get to that next level, but being a running back, you got to believe that he did, because DeAndre Swift had a good first chunk of the season, but really fell off that second half. Now, was that due to a bad offensive line? Because clearly they had a bad offensive line. Yeah, that could be the case. But for the most part, I think the retooled Bears are going to be much better. Do I think they're going to win their division? No, I don't think they're going to win their division. Are they going to make the playoffs? They're going to make a push for the playoffs, but unfortunately, they play in a really tough league. If J.J. McCarthy is as good as we think he's going to be with the Vikings, it's going to be hard. You have the Vikings. You obviously have Detroit. You have Green Bay. Now, I know that in the news today, Reed with Green Bay met with them, talk about his place on the team, because they picked 2 wide receivers in the draft. Where did Jayden Reed was the de facto number 1? If you look at the depth charts, I'll just look that up to make sure, but he was number 1. He's still listed as number 1 on RotoWire, but they picked up Golden. They had Watson, Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks. I mean, Green Bay Packers had people that they were already throwing to. They had 4 wide receivers. They had Dobbs, Watson, Wicks, and Reed. Then they picked up Golden. And I think, was it Bo Melton that they picked up in the draft? And so they picked up all these people. And yeah, I don't blame Reed for wanting to meet with the top folks over with Green Bay to talk about his place on the team. I mean, it makes total sense to me. Now, I do think I put out a video, a week or 2 ago, about some sleepers on the teams. And so, you might want to check that out because the some of the people are not that much of a surprise, or I guess might actually be a surprise to you on who I picked as sleepers coming into this season. Some of the people have been around. They have. Let me just go to that. Where are we at here? Yeah, I mean, I put out a video about the sleepers on fantasy, but we have Justin Watson. We have, well, the big thing is Tank Bigsby. I did a lot of research. It looks like Tank Bigsby can rebound and be a really good player coming into this year. They need a running back uh, in Jacksonville, and I think that he can be that running back. So, it's not really a surprise for me. Oh, there we go. There's a transcript. We have Justin Fields. We have Komet, Keon Coleman. So I'm talking deep sleepers here. I'm picking. Um, so the sleepers I have going into this season are first off Justin Fields, obviously with the Jets, JJ McCarthy. I think even though everyone expects him to be really good, uh, Tank Bigsby, I think, is going to be much improved for Jacksonville. And then Keon Coleman with the Bills. I think that, they've solidified a lot of positions. I know that James Cook is having some arguments about his contract, but for the most part, he'll probably come back so that they'll have the run game will help out, will open up the offensive game. So that'll be key from that standpoint. But yeah, I mean that's what I'm looking at right now. Those four guys to me, Justin Fields, I think could put up some big numbers. I don't think he's going to go in a high draft. I don't think he's going to go high in a fantasy draft. But I think when you get to like most fantasy drafts are 15 rounds, he might start going after round 10. You might see some people take a flyer on Justin Fields. I also think Keon Coleman, like I said, is going to be much improved this year. JJ McCarthy, who was injured, he'll probably have a really good season. They have all of their weapons, their essential weapons back. They have their tight end back. They have their two awesome receivers, especially with Addison coming back. Hopefully, he can be a little more stable as a wide receiver. They got their running back coming back. So they're going to be a good team. And I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have a good season. Besides Keon Coleman, the other big name, I guess, in my sleeper picks out of the four of these guys is Tank Bigsby. We all sort of downplayed Tank because he didn't have the season that we all thought he could have, but this could be the season. He's been there, he's done that. He's had some okay games, a little bit better games. That offense is probably going to be clicking a little bit more. BTJ is a real strong element into that offense. So you have the passing game, which hopefully can open up the run game. Hopefully their line can, protect the running back, the quarterback, and all of that, which they'll need to improve. So yeah, Tank Bigsby is one to really watch. He might be someone that you don't draft right away, or he might be someone you take a flyer on in a late round after like the 10th round, because most fantasy drafts go about 15, as I said. But he is someone to look at. If you're in a league where it's very running back heavy, for the last couple of years, it's been very wide receiver heavy. And I think last year, thankfully, it brought back the importance through like Saquon showed how important running backs were in the NFL. And I've always felt that way, that the running back, at least from a fantasy standpoint, is a very important element because he doesn't rely on the fact of catching the ball, meaning it doesn't have to be a pass that he can catch. If he, he doesn't have to worry about fumbling a lot or not catching the ball because it's handed off to him. So the running back gets the ball and runs and should put up points week in and week out if they start and they're decent. I mean, Najee Harris, you would think that he was the second coming of Franco Harris, last year. He didn't put up great numbers with Pittsburgh, but the Chargers signed him immediately. Gagan, what's up, my man? What's up, Gagan? We got Gagan on the line over at TikTok. Hey, Gagan, how you doing? Do you think, Gagan, that New Orleans and Pittsburgh have quarterback issues? I do. I really think they have quarterback issues. I don't think they're going to get to any next level if that's even possible with the quarterbacks that they currently have. Yeah, no, I would agree. And Rattler with New Orleans, he didn't have a good season. Rudolph was okay. Both teams have rookies, Will Howard and Schaff, and Schaff is actually, number one, which to me, I guess makes sense because Rattler was so bad. They're both on New Orleans now, but but they have a decent running game in Alvin Kamara, Olave, Rashid Shaheed, who got hurt early in the season. Brandon Cooks had some decent weeks. I mean, they have elements. Taysom Hill is a good tight end. He puts up a lot of crazy fantasy numbers. He throws the ball, he catches the ball, he rushes with the ball. So he's a fun one to watch. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that we have two teams with very definite quarterback issues in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. And right now, they're taking middling to worse veterans in Rattler and Mason Rudolph, and then they're mixing that with a rookie with New Orleans Schaff and with Pittsburgh Will Howard. And maybe the first couple of weeks they put in the veteran who's a little shaky, and then after like week 3 or 4 or something like that, they put in their rookies, and they think that can help. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers wants to quarterback because I know that he probably wants to miss camp because he's a veteran. He doesn't want to have to deal with any football talk. He'll probably just be raring to go. He knows what it takes to play and be ready for the season. So that could still be an element to this. But I just don't see either team getting too far with the quarterbacks that they have. Rattler and Mason Rudolph just don't excite me very much. Rattler had a very bad season. Rudolph was okay last year. He was a body in there. And it's unfortunate that, and this also weighs into the fact that why aren't the Falcons trading Kirk Cousins? And that's the big question mark to me. And the reason why I bring that up is I believe that the Atlanta Falcons may not have 100% faith in Penix. And I think that they're keeping Kirk Cousins around just in case there's any issues with their perceived quarterback. Let me just double check the depth charts. Yeah, Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins is number 2. So yeah, I think that's why Kirk Cousins hasn't been traded to the Saints or the Steelers, because I think that Atlanta is worried about Penix and his effectiveness. Now, I got to tell you, the thing that's interesting to me is, Atlanta should be a good team. They have a great running back in Bijan Robinson. They got Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, although Mooney and London are probably their big number 1 and 2. Kyle Pitts, who, he's either really hot or really cold. He'll have, 100 points. Well, he'll have 20 points one game and 2 the next. But he has not worked out at all. I mean, he is just a massive tight end. But he has not lasted in the NFL the way they probably thought. So I would say that right now, in my mind, I really think New Orleans needs a quarterback even more than Pittsburgh. And the reason why is because Spencer Rattler was so bad last year that I think that that's why they need a quarterback. And the fact that Carr retired just crushed them. It really did crush them. So, and Tyler Schaff, I think he'll probably be fine, but you got to figure he's going to take a few weeks just to sort of be middling in the NFL. I mean, I'm telling you, if you're relatively new to football, if you've really been following it in and out for the last like 2 years or last year, Jaden Daniels is the exception. He's not the rule. Jaden Daniels are not born every single minute of every day. Okay. The reason why we all loved him so much is because rookies aren't supposed to look that calm. They're not supposed to put up those kinds of numbers. They're not supposed to win games late or anything like that. So that's why he was so fascinating to watch. But anyway, it has been great talking with all of you tonight, and I really do appreciate it. Would love to get you to sign up for our fantasy football team, which is in the bio, both on TikTok and YouTube. It's in the bio. You just copy it and paste it into your URL, and you can go and sign up. So thank you all for watching. I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. I'm double checking, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. So thanks again. Have a great day. I'll talk to you again.